NLC have warned Tinubu not to dare Nigerians regarding the fuel scarcity and also the high prices of fuel as marketers have stopped the sales of some petrol. Good morning and welcome to the Dailies, where we keep you updated with what is happening from our papers this morning. I am Sela Elisha Dasham and Rachel Tanley is here alongside me. Thanks so much, Rachel. Good morning. All right, we are live on Facebook and on YouTube. Please do well to drop your comment and your contributions and stories that are of interest to you this morning. And we'll be going through the papers, starting with this day newspaper.
On this day newspaper, Zenith maintains position as best corporate governance financial services in Africa in fourth consecutive year. You can find the details on the front page and continue inside the paper on page 10. CBN governor seeks urgent debt management reforms at state levels amid increasing exposure. President directs DSS to vacate EFCC's office immediately. You can find the details on page 8. And the big story on this day newspaper, investors react positively as Tinubu meets Emefiele Kyari Labour over petrol subsidy. The writer following the story, stock market gains 1.5 trillion naira rather appreciates as Eurobonds rally. We have NLC TUC express outrage, describe pronouncement as insensitive. And statement coming from Shetima, we must end for subsidy now, else it will end Nigeria. NNPC, NMDPRA, others back move. Coming from Kyari, federal government owes National Oil Company 2.8 trillion naira subsidy fraud, and you can find the details inside the paper. Says government couldn't pay subsidy bills since February 2022. Declares licenses to be issued soon to marketers to import fuel. Coming from NETTA, lamenting 13.6 billion naira subsidy, 6 people-oriented programs. Lawmakers MOMAN DAPPMAN Ibman Hill President Labour Party false approach. The details you can find on page 5. We have a picture story that says Emilio Khan Presidential Guard of Honor welcomes Tinubu to his house. This happened yesterday at the villa in Abuja. And still on the 10th National Assembly, Northern Alliance alleges undemocratic moves to stop veteran Yari. You can find the details on page 40, and that's all the news on this day newspaper.
And on Daily Sun newspaper, Biafra Day. IPOP shuts down Southeast 30 arrested in Enugu with the rider. Masop urges Tinubu to release Kano. You can find more of that story on page 28. NGE Mons described Topisi as a strong advocate of press freedom. You can find detail of that story on page 29. President's subsidy removal statement. Don't dare Nigerians. NLC warns Tinubu. Fuel scarcity, high price as marketers stop sales. Removal not with immediate effect. Tinubu's media center. TUC asks the president to dialogue with stakeholders. Reps NNPC, NMDPRA back president decry panic buying. NNPCL lost 2.8 trillion naira to subsidy. You can find all of that on page 6, 22 and 25. President meets Emefiele and Kyari, state weak in debt management, financial transparency coming from the CBN. Tribunal admits document tendered by Ubi in defense of petition. Court okays federal government no work, no pay against ASU. On the Senate leadership, Kalu in talks with Yari scam, moves to stop Yari undemocratic coming from a group. Tinubu orders DSS to vacate EFCC Lagos office forcefully taken over. And still on business, where we have Zenith Bank named Best Corporate Governance Financial Services Institution in Africa for the 4th time running. And we have a death in hotel where we have Adedoye, 2 others to die by hanging over OAU student's mother. You can find that human angle story on page 5. We still have the lobby for the Senate President where we can see Kalu and also with Yari. You can do well to grab the paper and read the advertory and also other stories that are of interest to you. And that's all on the Daily Sun newspaper.
On Leadership newspaper, Senate amends ICPC Act, false petitioners risks 2 years in jail. Zenith Bank named Africa's best corporate governance financial services. We have a trend subsidy removal. Tinubu media team cautions against panic buying. You can find the details on page 2. Atiku Wike on warpath over support for Akpabio and Abbas. This is still on the National Assembly, and you can find the details on page 7. The big story: fuel pump price hits 600 naira in state. We expect fierce opposition from subsidy beneficiaries coming from the presidency. Federal government owes NNPC 2.8 trillion naira subsidy payment. Statement coming from Kyari. IBMAM demands release of paid products. Analysts fear inflation may rise. You can find the details on page 4. Northern Alliance alleges plot to arrest Betara and Yari. Police arrest 30 pro-Biafra agitators in Enugu. Nigeria ranks 37 as Mauritius, Egypt top prevalence list in Africa. This is on diabetes, and you can find the details on page 6. And that's all the news on Leadership newspaper.
On the first news, fuel subsidy will end Nigeria if we don't end it now, coming from Shaitima, the vice president. Reps back subsidy removal, urge Nigerians to be patient with Tinubu. Subsidy removal brace for more shock, LP tell Nigerians, knocks Tinubu over failure to consult organized labor and stakeholders. Tinubu orders DSS to vacate EFCC Lagos office. The big story is still on the fuel scarcity. Nigerians groan as Tinubu marks day 1 in office. Petrol pump price rises to 1,200 naira per litre. Filling station refuse to sell the product. Black marketers take advantage of situation, sell at 1,005 per litre. Transport fares skyrocket, commuters stranded in cities across the country. Citizens besiege filling station, blame the long queues on panic buying. You can read more detail of that story inside. And I think it's important we talk about this whole thing, Rachel, because of course, Nigerians felt that the welcome coming from the president was the scarcity of fuel and also the high price of this product in the market, because we saw this thing started as of yesterday. Immediately the president said that the first subsidy has been removed. We saw where marketers are no longer selling, filling stations have shut down, because of course some people are trying to hold back the product to actually survey and know what is really happening. And if you recall, yesterday we said that I really don't feel it was necessary as of the time it is, because there was product in the market before the announcement coming from the president during his speech saying that he will remove the first subsidy. So there were already old products in the market. So you begin to ask question, what warrants most of these filling stations to begin to close down, you know, their products, to hold it back? And then as of yesterday, some people were buying the product at 450 per liter. Some people were even getting it at 500 naira per liter. We saw in the paper, he said that if care is not taken, it goes to even 700 naira per liter. Now we can see that for every liter right now, some people are getting it at 1.2. Black marketers are even selling that 1.5 per liter, because they are taking advantage of it. And you know, for every issue like this that comes up, we always see where black marketers are actually having an upper hand. And then the question now will be, how did these black marketers get the fuel if commuters are unable to get access to the fuel? We can see the pictures all around, are queues in various filling stations. Black marketers are actually the ones having it. And just we are yet to recover from what happened, because this year was actually welcomed with scarcity of fuel. In the interval of less than 6 months or 6 months, Richard, you could see that transport fare has skyrocketed very high. Interval of 6 months. Where you were going for 100 naira is now 150, 200 naira. Where you were going for 50 naira is now 100 naira. So just a journey of just about a kilometer, something you could just stroll
Yeah.
down, is now 100
It's
naira.
100.
And that is to show, now we are seeing that even analysts are saying that they are afraid that inflation will definitely, it will rise.
It
That is
will,
the
of course
implication of
it
this.
will.
We see that food prices will be very high, transport fare will be very high, of course. And so I do not know what measures we have the president is actually making. Of course, we can see that he met with Kiari, that's the, you know, looking at NNPCL, and then he also met with the CBN, you know, governor. So I hope that he will consult widely in regard to this. We have seen that NLC are saying that, actually warning him not to dare Nigerians. Labour Party, of course, opposition parties will definitely have something to say for every party that is in power. But I hope that rather than pushing blame, we should be holding them accountable for various things. So we hope that, just like the president said, that he actually know that Nigerians are in hardship. I hope that that will be related, because everyone will be affected on the long run, whether you like it or not. So we hope that something will be done, because it's really, really not welcoming. If you got to enter a public transport today, the entire conversation is around how much I got a liter of fuel, you know.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I hope that the president will meet with all his stakeholders and say that, remember I said that it's not all about him taking decision, but he needs his cabinet members alongside to make decision. You don't make decision in isolation, you consult widely with other people. So I believe he is consulting widely, or he has already consulted widely, so we don't have this you know, fuel subsidy removal really, really inflicting pain, because it will inflict pain. But then we're looking at how can you make a very soft landing for Nigerians. I think that is the question. Nigerians need a very positive answer coming from the president.
For me, I see this subsidy removal as continuity in what the previous administration have already started, and then now this administration is continuing with it. And sometimes I wish, Sele, that we have every other thing being continued in Nigeria, regardless of what party coming into power in every other sector. When this administration starts a mega project, when the next administration come in, continue, as long as you see it's going to benefit Nigerians. Now, Sele, there's never going to be a perfect timing for fuel subsidy removal. However, in my opinion, this is a better timing. Imagine if we had subsidy, fuel subsidy being taken away, where we don't have any refinery commissioned and well functioning in Nigeria. We would be looking at a hardship of years and years going down. However, one thing that we can keep our fingers crossed on, Sele, is that hopefully, because we have the Dangote refinery inaugurated and fully functional as it is, and we are soon going to start seeing petrol coming from that refinery. And we've seen where the NNPCL saying that the Dangote refinery can be able to produce the quantity of fuel that we consume daily in Nigeria 100%, which means we will no longer be importing oil back into the country, and then we would be able to see that the prices of fuel is being controlled, because now we have one mega distributor and supplier of oil for the country. However, this is not going to be anytime soon. Now, the only way that the government will show us that they truly have Nigerians in mind is how long this hardship persists. Because whether we like it or not, there's going to be inflation, there's going to be hike in prices of goods and commodities in the market. Since yesterday, Sally, how much I spent coming to work and going back changed immediately since yesterday morning, and I can say the same for this morning too. So there's already that impact immediately. Now, one of the ways also the government needs to step in is into exploitation, because Nigerians are opportunists to the core, and we do it in a very wicked way. Allow me to say it that way, because why on earth are people buying fuel 1,000 to 1,005? This is exploit that is punishable by law. This is a criminal offense as far as I am concerned. So where I expect is, let the government step in, go to every fuel station and know how much they are selling. Any fuel station selling outrageous should be sanctioned. That is one way the government should step in. They shouldn't joke about it, because whether we like it or not, with the subsidy being taken out, yes, fuel price will not be the same, but the government should create a means immediately to fight exploitation. That is the only way the government can help us, because this is pure exploitation. If anybody should be buying, if a company, if a fuel station should be able to sell it at 400, then it means any other person selling it at 700 is exploiting, because it is a market and we have major distributors, so they can't tell us that they're getting it differently from the NNPCL, from what the other fuel station. This is not a market that there are too many people into it. We know who are those into it and how much are they distributing to you and what is the profit. There should be a price ceiling to what we get. I think this is one way that the government can step in and make sure that Nigerians don't get exploited because of the subsidy removal. And I'm hoping that they put in strategic plans to make sure that there's no exploit whatever when it comes to
because Richard, I totally agree with you. I think we saw that last year also, where we had some fuel stations that were selling it at a higher price.
Yeah.
And we heard where the House of Reps gates go ahead, any fuel station marketers that are selling at a higher price.
True.
Such fuel station will be shut down, giving them sanctions, fines, and all of that. So we hope to see that all these governors have, being especially 28 states where we have new governors. I mean, let us see them meeting together, have agency, people who monitor all of those things. I think that will be the way, the very, very best way right now to monitor this and then reduce the pain on Nigerians. Well, let's look at other stories still on the first news. Subsidy: federal government owns NNPCL, 2.8 trillion naira coming from Kyari. Tinubu resumes work at Asuvida. And on the tribunal, weakness tender U.S. court judgment on Tinubu, $460,000 for feature. And on Biafra Day, release Nnamdi Kanu, Maso begs Tinubu. 24.8 million Nigerians risk acute hunger over insecurity and natural hazard coming from the FEO, that's the Federal Agric Organization. So we hope something will be done about that, especially in regard to, talking about insecurity. I think that is the first step, and then I hope that we've done all that is expected, so we don't see another flood again coming in this year, because the rain is a bit heavy, if you would agree with me. So I hope something will be done about that. And that's all on the first news.
On the Nation newspaper, OAU student Adedoyin, 2 others get death sentence. Federal government owing NNPCL 2.8 trillion naira, says Kyari. We have the big story: stock market gains 1.5 trillion naira on Tinubu's policy direction. PDP Labour Party open case before tribunal. Petrol crisis thrills president's fuel subsidy is gone pronouncement. And that's all the news on the Nation newspaper.
Not the Daily Times newspaper, public perception of advertising offenses tribunal. That is coming from the Daily Times survey. You can do well to read more detail of that survey. Tinubu Sheitima start work at presidential villa, hold closed door meeting with Emifele and Kyari. President directs DSS to vacate the EFCC office in Lagos State. You can start reading on the front page and continue inside the paper. And on the tribunal admits that U.S. court document on Tinubu's $460,000 for feature acts exhibit. Admin Beavers print out BVCs from 36 states in Atiku's petition. You can read more of that too. And regarding ASU, court holds federal government no work, no pay policy. Nigerians groan as petrol sale at 750 naira per litre. FCC PC moves to clamp down on hoarders. Subsidy yet to be removed, says the presidency. Senate amends ICPC Act, slam 2 years jail term on false petitioners. You can find more detail on page 19, and I hope with this coming from the president saying the subsidy is yet to be removed, that should be able to handle the issue on ground regarding the fuel scarcity and also the high price. And that's all on the Daily Times newspaper.
On Nigerian Tribune, Nigeria spent 11.350 trillion naira on turnaround maintenance of 3 moribund refineries between 2010 and 2022. A statement coming from the reps asks federal government to revoke 37 inactive refinery licenses. Timothy Adegoke mother court sentences Adedoyin hotelier to death by hanging. You can find the details on page 13. Auxiliary escapes as police arrest 78 suspects, recover arms ammunition during raid. 84 live AK-47 ammunition, 19 pump-action rifles, 4 AK-47 magazines, 724 live cartridges, other recovered, police say. You can find the details on page 29. The big story on Nigerian Tribune: Labour talks tough, queue spread, petrol prices rise. Governors warns against panic buying, go after marketers. Federal government owes NNPCL 2.8 trillion naira coming from Kyari. You can find the details on page 2. And the 10th National Assembly moves to stop Bertera Yari by undemocratic means uncovered, coming from NAD. Tinubu directs DSS to vacate EFCC office as both agencies fight over ownership. Zenith Bank recognized as best corporate governance financial institution in Africa. You can find the details on page 6. Court upholds federal government no work, no pay policy against ASU. The details can be found on page 8. And we have a column that says Nigerian woman gets accolade for curating World Cultural Diversity Day celebration in Glasgow. You can find the details on page 22, and that's all the news on Nigerian Tribune.
On the Punch newspaper, still on subsidy, fuel sells 600 naira per litre. Queues Watson as filling station short with the rider Tinubu. NNPCL GMD orders get framework for removal on the way. Federal government cannot fund subsidy again, owns NNPCL 2.8 trillion naira, says Kyari. Kwara, Ekiti, Bayelsa governors orders warn marketers against hodling. You can find detail on page 2, and I hope other governors will also, join together so we can have a very great time. Tinubu inherit over 16 trillion naira uncompleted projects. We hope that he complete all of that before starting new ones. 11 trillion naira spent on moribund refineries in 13 years, coming from the reps. And on ASU, court okays no work, no pay policy. You can read that story on page 16. We could recall during the strike that they had, and they've not been paid for over 8 months. So I think that is when, and they were saying they still need pay while they were not, in schools. And we can see court of okay, so it's obvious ASU is not actually getting that money back. So we just hope something will be done better. Not like I am really excited at a time like this, because our teachers or our lecturers are supposed to be upheld in very high esteem, and we hope more will be done. But I hope that with the ministers we will be having, we'll be able to have a smooth running of our educational sector, especially our tertiary institution. Looking at the federal, our public universities, most times the students are at the detriment of whatever is being done to them. Presently, as we speak now, Polytechnic in Plateau State is on strike, and you begin to ask why they have not been paid what they are actually, supposed to get. So I hope that we don't take the issue of education lightly. And I'm happy that the president, in his speech, said he was going to give attention to, the health sector, education sector, insecurity, and means other sectors that really, really need attention. So we hope that it doesn't just end on paper or on lip service, but let us see a follow-up. Let us see that our universities are qualified to really be called university, because sometimes when you visit some of our universities, they are just glorified secondary schools. You see the buildings very dilapidated. The lecturers are not really giving what they are expected to give. Why? Because they don't even receive the pay. So you don't expect them to go give more. That is what the situation have been over the years. And no wonder we have graduates, especially taking a look at some of our professional courses. You see the student not being able to stand with their other equals in other countries. Why? Because our educational sector has not been giving the attention it's needed. So I'm hoping that something will be done regarding this, not just because the court have said no work, no pay for us, but let's look at the educational sector as a whole. What is it being done for the educational sector? So I hope to see that something will be done regarding that sector.
Excellent. They went on a strike for a purpose, and I believe that they should be paid for that 8 months regardless of the court ruling. Perhaps a law should be passed in our bill that the next time you go on a strike, this is the penalty of strike. Whenever you decide to go on a strike, you should know that when you go for that strike, you will not be paid. However, ASU went on a strike for a purpose, for the government to listen to them. In the first place, if the government were paying attention to our educational sector and giving the demands that our schools need in the first place, there won't be a need for a strike in the first place, because the government have made it in such a way that the only way they hear unions and sectors is when they go on strike. Why must it be so? And ASU decided to go on a strike for them to be heard, and now you are saying they will not be paid for that 8 months. And I don't need to be a lecturer to feel the pain or what they're going through. I don't need to be working in that sector to know what it means to go 8 months without being paid, and knowing that you can't recover that 8 months because of what the court of law have passed and saying you will not get it. I believe that they should be paid those 8 months of salary, regardless of them not going, because the strike was for a purpose, for them to be heard. And even as it is, it's not like the government have met the needs that they went on that strike for in the first place. It is still a work in progress, and nothing has been done significantly enough for us to say that the government have heard them. Perhaps if after this the government can come up with a bill or law and say this will be it, when you decide to go on a strike tomorrow, you might not get your pay, then we will find other means of making the government listen to us. However, when you look at this thing, is all effects and so many factors directly and indirectly affecting this kinds of thing, because if the government was fully functional as it should be, then no organization will need to go to strike in the first place. But now the government are making it look, because they have the power and the court have ruled in their favor, as if ASU had no reason for going to strike on strike in the first place. And these are things that are still threatening our educational system and all of that. So I'm just looking for a select where we have a working system that don't just favor the government because they are the government, but that everybody is being heard. Because as far as I'm concerned, ASU is still not being heard so far, and it's not going to, we're not going to move forward if they're not being heard, and such harsh measures are being taken on them also.
Of course, Rachel, I agree with you, and that was why I keep asking questions. I said most of our leaders are people who have benefited from this system, so why now frustrate the effort of the same system you benefit from? So I hope that our government will actually take that seriously. Well, still on the Punch newspaper, we have a National Assembly anti-zoning group condemns alleged plan to arrest Bitera and Yari. And on the OAU student Adedoye workers bags death sentence, hotel forfeited. You can find that story on page 7. Or your police storm auxiliary hideout arrests 78 with arms. You can find more detail of that on page 4 and 5. Picture story showing commuters, people in queue, scarcity, some filling station being shut down. Well, we hope something will be done about that. And that's all on the Punch newspaper. But before we move further, we'd love to take a time out so we can hear from our viewers when we come back from the break. Please do not go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back. The program still is the Dailies on Echo Television, and we have been keeping you updated with what is happening on the paper, especially regarding the first subsidy removal, which the presidency have said is yet to be removed. And we've seen the scarcity of fuel and also a high price in the product, as some fuel stations are selling it as high as 151 to 700 naira per liter. Well, a lot is actually happening on the paper, so we'll love to hear from you. Also, the court have said no work no pay, especially regarding ASU. So we'd love to hear what your inputs are, what your thoughts are concerning any of the story. Please do remember to turn down the volume of your TV set when you call us, because we are really, really interested in what you have to say, and other viewers are too. And let's please remember to be very civil with our language. Our numbers are displayed on your screen. Please do well to call us. And let's continue with the review, looking at the New Telegraph newspaper.
On New Telegraph newspaper, alleged 460,000 US dollar for future. Tribunal admits US judgment on Tinubu's in Obi's petition. Adjourns APM's request against president till Friday. PDP dangles 2027 tickets to stop Akpabio and Abbas as opposition's NWC holds retreat in Uyo. APC governors meet today. This is still on the 10th National Assembly, back and forth. You can find the details on page 2. Nigeria's Eurobond stocks rally on Tinubu's inaugural speech. No excuse for failure. We have a call.
Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Yes, morning, Shele, and the other Shele too.
All right, that's Rachel. Thank you.
Yes,
morning.
I want to tell you, if that girl is elaborating on ASU issue, like as if she's angry, let her go and pay ASU now. Eh? Why? Yes, don't want to pay. You understand? If our father is a lecturer, then please let her stop, taking our time. It's just the truth. Eh? If don't want, will you be paid? You have to have complaints. Will you always be going to strike? The only legacy that Buhari has left for us in this, what he has done, that we can be proud of, is the proud. Oh, thank you very much.
All right, I guess that's
stop talking about
caller.
what is gone and is gone.
All right, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Even though I didn't get the name of the caller that called in, but I mean, Rachel. Of course, I know. Maybe just before to give you time to actually to react to that, people have different opinion regarding different things, and of course, talking about ASU, I believe it's just not really looking at ASU, the union itself, but looking at the bigger body, which is education. All right, let's take this call. Hello, good morning, sir.
Hello.
We are with you. Good morning.
Sele, good morning, my sister.
Morning.
How are you this morning?
Morning,
fine,
sir.
Good morning.
Yeah, Shaman calling from Kaduna.
All right, Mr. Shamal, go ahead,
Honestly,
please.
I appreciate your analysis this morning. Nigerians need to go back to drawing boards in prayers. There's nothing that will vindicate Nigerians from the hands of cluelessness than prayers. Prayers is the only ultimate thing we should render to our Creator. Because this government, since 2015, the exchange of battle, we thought it was going to start in a good footing. Now, it started with subsidy removal. You can imagine yesterday, I bought fuel 500 naira per liter. Yesterday, my sister, if I full my tank now, I have to spend almost 30,000 naira to fuel my car. How much is my salary? Am I just working just to fuel the car or to feed my family? Everything will skyrocket in the market because fuel decide the commodities prices in Nigeria. So I pray that we, both the Christians and Muslims, we should go back to our God and ask God, where have we offended him that we are suffering like this in this country? If Buhari will leave a legacy of inheritance that will make a continuation in suffering, then Nigeria, we're not getting it right. I pray that we're going to go back, as I continue to reiterate, back to our God to ask for forgiveness if there's anywhere we have sinned against God. Secondly, let our daddy, Tinubu, not allow anybody compel him, work with these former governors, because the former governors were not fair to their people, especially Kaduna State. The governor of Kaduna State, if Tinubu make a mistake and bring it back to his government, then he's going to spoil his government. He will never have peace in that government because Erufai doesn't need peace. What he did to Southern Kaduna, God in heaven, will pay back to what he did to Southern Kaduna. Good morning.
Thank you, Mr. Sharma from Kaduna. Thank you so much. Yeah, Rachel.
Yeah, and actually, I'd like to respond to the previous caller before this one that I can't pay ASU. My dad is not a lecturer. I am not angry, and I'm only entitled to my own opinion like any other person who will call and voice what they think should be best. Now, it's just my opinion, and I am saying it. And however, the federal government and the court have already said this is their decision. So it's not about, just as you said, Sele, it's about a big picture. We have airport workers going on strike.
Our health workers are on strike.
We have our health workers on strike. Are we going to keep treating them like that? We don't know how long these strikes are going to last. What is truly the solution? And that is what we are calling on the government to look at it. It's not the no pay, no work that is the solution, but what was the trigger to the strike in the first place?
Let's take this call. Hello, good morning, sir.
Hello.
Hello, good morning. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning.
Morning, sir. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hello.
Please turn down the volume of your TV set, sir. Right. I think we've lost that call. Please, to our callers, remember to turn down the volume of your TV set. That's the only way you can hear us here. Thank you so much.
Yeah. But then what is the way forward? Why do we keep doing temporary things instead of finding permanent solutions to a problem? And that's all what we are calling on the government of Nigeria, that we should stop looking. Yes, the no pay might be a punishment to ASU, but does it solve the real problem? This is very temporary to what is eating Nigeria up, and we will continue to see such backwardness until the government does what is necessary, until the government does what these sectors need. We will keep seeing this backwardness in our system, and no growth will happen until the right thing is being done.
Of course, Rich, and I agree that we are all right. Let's take this call. Good morning. Good morning, sir.
My contribution is that any administration that will succeed will start to talk about transportation. Transportation is one of the most common things that one can ever embark on. Number one, it deals with people's affairs. It deals with movement. Anything that affects movement, it affects the whole system. And what am I saying NSD was that if peradventure now you are moving from here to Aba, formerly we are paying 700 naira, and now today somebody is paying 3,000 naira going. Before you can buy your goods and bring it back, you have to add all those expenditure inside what you are about to sell. And then you discover that it's going to affect the whole system. So if the federal government can do anything, I thank God for the new administration that come in, let them deal with transportation. Immediately the fuel come down, everything will come down gradually. It doesn't matter. Look at today, a bag of cement, how much? A bag of cement now, here in Cross River, we are selling 4,700 naira, 4,600 naira. But a few years ago, we were buying 2,000 naira, and people were rejoicing. And when this new administration come in, we thought that maybe everything is going to come down gradually. But today now, few days ago, and fuel now have rise to 700 naira. And yesterday I was pleading with people to at least, out of the 1,400 for 2 liters, I was pleading for 1,200. They accepted. Something that I just bought a few days ago, 600 naira for 2 liters. God bless Nigeria. Thank you very much for the new administration coming in. Continue to help us and tell them that anything they can do, let them deal with transportation. Very, very important. God bless Nigeria.
Amen. Thank you so much. And one thing is just to let our callers know, and that's why you have the media. We are the watchdog, so we keep these government officials on their toe. You said this. You're yet to do that. What is the problem? So you can't expect the entire Nigeria to come here and address the government. Of course not. And that's why we're pleading with the government to really look at all these sectors that are crumbling down. You remember when we had our health workers very angry when the Minister of Labor and Employment then, Chris Ngege, said that they can leave if they want to. It was really, really not the right comment. Good morning, sir. What's your name?
as the judgment concerning ASU. I don't think the court are actually fair on them, because
Okay.
these people actually went on strike because of what the nonchalant attitude of the government. So it's no good. What if they are the ones in ASU's shoe? This life, you don't treat people the way you want them to treat you yourself. God will help us in this country.
Amen.
That's my contribution. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you
very
so
My
much.
greetings, Auntie Celia and Rachel. Bye.
Thank you
All
very
right,
much.
thank you so much. From the voice, seems like it's a student, really relating with the pain, because as if you are a student, you know what ASU went through. And we have, these lecturers have their awards schooling, so
do,
we're not
so
talking
why
about
not?
them sending their awards outside.
Yeah.
And that's why, I always said, why don't we go back to that bill? Maybe let's stop public officials from taking their awards outside the country. Let's focus on our country. Maybe
should.
that will make us to
Maybe.
take the educational
Maybe.
sector seriously. Yes, we have another call. Hello, good morning.
All right. What I want to say is about the ASU strike.
All right,
The
sir.
man that called and began to attack Rachel is not fair. He should attack the issues that is being brought up in the dailies, not attacking the person that is that commented on the subject, because her analysis is sound and exactly what is going on in the country. Most of these our leaders, their children school abroad, and come to Nigerian universities. You see, everything is like a child play that is going on there. And ASU went on a strike for a purpose, for government to do this right it should do. And ASU did not, the government did not give attention to that. And court now gave a ruling to their favor. Does it mean that the court is actually working under the government or under the control of the government? So these are the things we really need to look into if we want this country to move forward. Go to our universities. What is going on there? Our graduates, are they really sound graduates? Can they compete with other graduates from different parts of the world? Why is it that our leaders are sending their children abroad to study? If our university or tertiary institution system is sound, please, our leaders should do the right thing. And also, we are praying for the new president, but I think that we should pray more, because for me, the announcement of removal of subsidy was a big mistake that he made, because he should have understood the system of Nigeria, or how Nigeria works, that you don't just say things or do things that will give opportunities the room to begin to exploit Nigerians, because that statement is what caused the hike in fuel prices now. But going back to reverse it, it may bring it down. Please, our leaders should do the right thing. Thank you, and God bless you. God bless you, Sele, and God bless you, Rachel. You people are doing a wonderful job.
Thank
The
you.
Lord continue to bless you more.
Amen.
And bless everyone in Jesus' name.
Amen. Thank you so much. That prayer was very important.
Yes,
Thank you
it
so
is.
much, Rachel. So, well, we just hope that the government will just do the right thing that is expected of them. Let's continue with the New Telegraph.
Still on New Telegraph newspaper, no excuses for failure, Pa for Saranti tells Tinubu. Awolowo Road building belongs to us, a statement coming from the DSS. Corporate governance, Zenith Bank sustains best rating award in Africa. Court okays federal government no work, no pay rule against ASU. And the big story on New Telegraph, subsidy removal, Tinubu backpedals, says policy not taking immediate effect. The writer flowing that federal government owes must refund 2.8 trillion naira subsidy payment to NNPCL coming from Kyari. Tinubu resumes at Aso Villa, meets Emefiele, NNPCL's boss over petrol scarcity. Reps back president subsidy removal as NLC.
All right, sorry, let's take this call. Hello, good morning, sir. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello,
What's your name, sir? Where are you calling from? Good morning.
Sunday, calling from Niger.
All right, Mr. Sunday, go ahead, please.
Good morning.
Morning.
It's very, very unfortunate that we find ourselves in the condition that we're seeing ourselves in this country. Talking about the ASU, all these our leaders, none of their children are schooling in this country. It's only the poor people that their children are schooling in this country. So for the judges to say that, to tell ABSU that no work and no pay, are they owing their own salary like that as they are owing ABSU salary? All our governors and the state and the federal, all what they do is to bring this into to make sure that their own salaries they are collecting. We have never ever heard that maybe Senate or House of Rep or governors that they are owing them their own salary. But this thing that they're supposed to take very serious, they just leave it anyhow, do it anyhow, because none of their children are schooling here. So the only keeping debt for the state and federal, embezzling our money, sending their children outside the country for them to school, and live with the poor people to suffer for this country. A student supposed to be maybe in 3 or 4 years he will be graduate. He will using 6 years, 7 years before he will graduate in this country. It's not fair. So the government have to do the needful to settle up so that what we suffer for the 8 years of Buhari administration for our children, it will not repeat itself again in this new administration. Thank you, and God bless Nigeria.
Amen. Thank you, Mr. Sunday, for that thoughtful contribution.
Still on New Telegraph newspaper, the writer flowing the big story. We have governors flame marketers for creating artificial fuel scarcity as Nigerians groan. You can find the details on page 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, and 28. And we have an editorial that says leadership of 10 National Assembly, where we can see Senator Oju Zokalu and Senator Abdulaziz Yari, and that's all the news on New Telegraph.
All right, let's take a look at the Guardian newspaper. Population Commission, 200 billion naira vote and March 2023 census. You can find that story on page 4. Court justified government no work, no pay rule against ASU. And we have morning after inauguration, sees people struggling, nationwide chaos, pain as stakeholders seek caution on subsidy removal. You can find more detail of that story on page 6. Tinubu restates sanity as DSS EFCC squabble over property in Lagos. And we have the PEPC admin 5 exhibit from Obi, printout of Beavers Resolve from Atiku. Adedoye, 2 hoteliers to die by hanging over murder of OAU students. You can find detail inside the paper. Tinubu Sheitima resuming Aso Villa as Nigerians await official appointments. And we have Browse welcome Tinubu, record highest gain in 2 years. You can find more detail of that story, and that's all on the Guardian newspaper.
On Nigerian Standard, NNPCL backs Tinubu on petrol subsidy removal. Tinubu administration has come to...
Morning, sir. What's
Good
your
morning.
name? Morning. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Shiruru, Niger State.
All right, sir.
The only thing we need to do is to pray to God Almighty to see us through. Because what we expect of him, the Mr. President, is not what he did to the common man. Even though removal of the subsidy is going to be the thing that will help this country, it's not supposed to be now, immediately he assumed office. The issue of the security challenges, he has not even talked major issue about it. Now, look how much are we buying a model of rice? How much are other things crops in the market? How can a common man afford? Look at the cost of petrol. If your salary is 18,000, 20,000 and you need to transport from where you are going to and fro, how are you going to survive it? If you have a family, how are you going to cope? They should please, let's continue to pray. As one of the callers said, we should commit everything in the hands of God, both the Christians and the Muslims. Let's call upon God so that Almighty God will come and defend us. Thank you and happy day. I wish you people all the best. Almighty God continue to protect you in Jesus. I also equate TV in the mighty name of Jesus.
Amen.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for that prayer and contribution. Thank you. Please just go ahead, Rachel.
Still on Nigeria Standard, UK government congratulates Tinubu Shetima on successful inauguration. We have the big story, Mutfang sworn in as 6th Plateau governor in the course of history. You can start with the story on the front page and continue inside the paper on page 2. Put the interest of Plateau first, a statement coming from the former governor Simon Lalong. You can find the details of what he is saying also on page 2. We have a picture story that says Plateau State Governor Barrister Caleb Musfwang acknowledging cheers on motorcade after being sworn in as the elected governor of the state at the Rangpan Township Stadium just on Monday, May 29, 2023. And that's all the news on the Nigeria Standard.
Well, thank you so much, Rachel, for doing
You're
that
welcome,
for me.
Sarah.
This is how far we can go on the program, the Dailies this morning. Thank you to all our callers who call in to actually contribute, to all the stories that are on the papers. Until we come here again tomorrow, please do have a blessed day ahead.